Welcome to The Fence with your hosts, Mitchell.
And your unpolitically incorrect Gar.
Garçon. And back with us today.
Garçon.
Back with us today is Sam Bortnick.
Greetings and salutations.
Glad to have you back, buddy. It's been a while.
He's so polite.
Too long.
He is. I remember that episode being a good one. We actually got to know you via that podcast. So it was kind of a cool episode.
Yep.
And we've been buds ever since.
Dude, best friends.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Best friends.
We work together. We work together also in the same building.
Yep.
We
Late
pumped
night cuddle
iron.
sessions.
And next week you're gonna go full metal, right?
Full metal next
adding
week.
to the gym and stuff.
Yep.
Extra metal to that.
Oh, and I don't have to cut it out this episode. Go ahead, shout it out, man.
Yeah,
Yay.
so next week, Saturday, November 2nd, my band and myself, Agony Culture, will be opening up for Octane at the Broken Goblet. I believe it's doors at 7 p.m. I think it's 7 to 11, but, that's set up and hang out and stuff in between sets. So if you can make it out, come hang out with us. I believe tickets are sold out, so that's
Do you guys have any merch? I apologize for.
Do we have any marriage?
No, merch. Like
merch.
shirts.
We do not have merch
CDs.
yet. Octane does have new merch. Merch we probably for the next show. We're looking at probably early spring. We're going to be working to get some demos and stuff now recorded and released on Spotify as well. Prompting is before, isn't it?
Prompting is something that
Happens
leads to
before?
something else. Yep.
Okay, so the show will be prompting the recordings of the first EP songs, which will be coming out hopefully by the end of spring is what I'm projecting. So we will see what happens with that, but very excited.
That is exciting, man.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Yeah. I was
Thank you.
there last week too at the Broken Goblet with different bands. It was freaking awesome. I definitely would suggest you guys going because gonna enjoy.
Stage room's tight there. I love it.
I've heard a lot about their setup. I haven't been back there since they changed locations probably like freaking 5 plus maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When was that?
I couldn't tell you, and I'd be lying if I said that I could because I couldn't. What I am excited for, this is kind of cool for anybody who's a rock or metal fan. Who's familiar with Pantera? Anybody?
Oh,
I've heard of it.
Pantera.
Heard of it.
Fucking love
What
Pantera.
are you talking about?
Oh, I used the F word. Sorry. But anyway, so Pantera, so the stage in their stage room at the Broken Goblet is not authentically a Broken Goblet stage. I don't know my facts incredibly well. I know them well enough to talk about it, though. So their stage was actually a stage from a different venue, okay? Dimebag Darrell is Pantera's guitar player, absolute rock legend, unfortunately was shot and killed on stage in the early 2000s or late 90s. I forget exactly.
In the Broken Goblet?
Not in the Broken Goblet.
Is that how they broke the goblet?
All right. No, but this is the cool thing. So I'm a huge Dimebag Darrell fan, and the stage there actually has they have like little markers on stage that are made of like tape, like X's and stuff. So they have an X on that stage. That was where he once stood.
Oh, shit.
From a different venue.
Okay.
So
That's
I'm
cool.
so excited to be able to
Very
be up
cool.
there and
Yeah,
check
man.
like that. That's like fanboy stuff to the max for me. So
You take a piss selfie with it, like, ooh.
like, oh, dude, he's one of those people. Like, he was a one-time gift. Like, nobody has played guitar like he plays guitar. Like, it was an extension of him. Like, he's one of those guys that I look up to where I'm like, that guy was the guy.
That's
And
beautiful.
Yeah, so super, super cool.
That's cool, man.
Now I'm gonna play some Pantera songs after this. Like, just remember good old days.
Dude, Pantera's awesome. To this day.
Today I have a maxo for the leg day, so I'm gonna squat like a 1 RM and definitely gonna play Pantera on that one.
Oh, you're going to need it, buddy. God be with you.
Oh yeah.
What are your pre-workout fueling meals going to look like? You going to have a little couple carbs? No, really?
Actually, I have fruits.
Okay.
I do incorporate a little bit of fruits around the training, and that's pretty much it. There is no more carbs. Other than, we can say, like raw milk. And I mostly go with the goat milk. It's digestible. Same thing with the cheese.
I got to get into the farmer's market today and try to get it. I tried maybe 2 weeks back to get some raw milk from the farmer's market right there.
Dude, go early in the morning.
I know, and they were out, and now it's going to be like the same time I'm rolling in. And I bet
Dude,
they'll
give
be
me
out
sometimes
again.
the text. I can grab it for you.
If you think of it next time.
Yeah.
Maybe next
Which
week.
one you want, like a regular or goats? I just go with
One
the
of
goat.
each, maybe.
All right.
I'd love to try them. It's like a smaller, it's not like a gallon or something, right?
So
They do half gallon or
there is
smaller?
a half gallon, and there is a full gallon of regular raw milk, and for a goat, it's raw. It's a half gallon, or there's a 1 liter one, I believe.
Maybe like a 1 liter of the goat and then like a half of the cow.
Yeah.
Something I've been doing recently.
Because they sell out super early, like right away.
Right.
Especially goat's milk, because a lot of people feed to their kids.
Really?
Yeah, so kids are...
I got to get on that, man. Something my buddy just turned me on to, and my client drinks this daily, and I've heard a lot about it. I've just never really tried it until I was away on a camping trip, I guess last weekend or the weekend before, and my buddy... when we went to the grocery store to get all the necessities, he got a bottle of kefir.
Oh, you've never had kefir?
No.
Oh, kefir's awesome.
It's awesome.
See, and I've also too been on the kick of staying away from dairy entirely, because I've learned that, like, I don't know if I'm lactose intolerant. I don't think that I am, but they say dairy is inflammatory, and I noticed there was like a couple day, like 4 or 5 days straight where I didn't drink dairy, and it was completely inadvertent. And I felt really good. Like, I noticed, like, my face was, like, less swollen. My dark circles kind of went down a little bit. Like, I just kind of felt way better. And then I had a bowl of cereal, and it came back immediately. And I was like, oh, dude, there might be something. I've been trying to figure out something. Like, there's some intolerance or something in my body that I haven't been able to figure out for some time. And I haven't, made the efforts to actually isolate it because of how much I eat on a regular basis.
I know.
Anyway.
It's a huge hassle, right? Lifestyle change.
Check this out. I'm going to jump on this one. Actually, same thing. Like, when I came to United States... And, my country, it's very popular to do, like, eat, drink dairy. So, but here, man, I went to buy whole milk. You will think it's a freaking milk, right? Right away, bloating, feeling bad. And, pimples and stuff like that everywhere. It's like, what the hell is going on? My skin went bad and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, wait, did I just become a lactose intolerant at 21? What's going on? But then... Just a year ago, I started, first time in my life, I tried raw milk.
And it's different.
Dude,
no problem.
No bloating at all. I'm freaking doing great.
See, that can be said for a lot, though. Like, like the fruits. Like, I have, like, we have, like, these apple trees in our yard. I eat apples right off that tree. No problem. I have Granny Smith apples, and, like, my whole mouth is, like, tingling and
I get
itching
that too.
and bumps
Absolutely.
and all this stuff. So there's definitely, I don't know what, but it's no secret that putting stuff in our food.
I think that's the insecticides, in my opinion. And I've seen you're supposed to, like, soak them or wash them for a great period of time. I'm always on the go.
I'm kind of impatient. Yeah, I'm not sitting there with a bowl like, I'm going to soak my apple
but
for
I get that
15 minutes
tingliness in my throat.
Not even water. It's soda. You have to soak that shit in soda.
Like baking soda?
Yeah.
Okay, not Coke.
And then it's like it goes dark. Water goes dark.
That's what I've heard. I've seen a video of it. You've told me about it.
Yeah.
I need to take better care of myself.
Yeah, because one of the chefs, he was like, check this out. He put it in the water, and then like 15 minutes after, right? Nothing. That water is white. And then he added baking soda, went dark right away in a few minutes.
White or clear?
Yeah, clear. My bad.
You don't want to drink white water. That's probably
my freaking language barrier. Here you go. Sometimes I'm messing up.
No, it's all good, bro.
But yeah, clear. It was clear, and then it went dark.
What were we talking about last week, Gar? We were in here after the podcast. You were trying to communicate a thought to me, and you couldn't think of the word, so you used an emoji. An emoji. What emoji was it?
Oh,
he was like,
God.
you remind me of this emoji. And I don't remember what it was.
Oh, yeah, man. I cannot remember, but it was... I remember the moment, but I don't remember what the hell I was doing.
Communicated via the Apple iPhone emoji.
Hey, you figured it out,
I
too.
did.
You were
Because,
like, yeah.
I was like, oh, absolutely. So good.
With the way this generation's going, we're going to have subtitled videos that are all emojis at the bottom.
Well, we're just on our way back, to a hieroglyphic communication system.
Hieroglyphics.
Oh, boy.
Like the ancient Egyptians used. It was,
I'm familiar.
Right.
No, trust me, I'm
but,
familiar.
and we're just kind of moving back towards it.
I mean, pretty much. There was some scientists were saying, like, if we continue this way, soon we will stop talking, and our mouth will get smaller and stuff. We might look like aliens in a few thousand years just because of that. Because we will just be this.
Well, there's this show on Netflix that keeps popping up. I think it's called like The Preacher or something like that. And this preacher comes to town, and I haven't watched it simply because of the picture that's like on the show of it. And it's this guy who looks like he has like a butthole for a mouth. Have you seen this?
Nope.
It's like all sucked in, and
deviating.
it looks terrifying. I don't want to watch it.
On the rabbit hole.
Oh, boy. Yeah, nah.
Well, so we had Sam back because, like we said, he is a personal trainer. We actually work together now. He works with me at Blackout Training, and he does things on his own as well. But he's also he's a musician, and he's an expert on the female body.
I'm an expert on the female body. I mean.
Excuse me.
Go
for it.
Listen, I'm not gonna say that that's not the case, but I also don't want to attribute that to being anything educational because it's totally outside of education. If that's the route that we're going, it's not. I'm not.
Oh, I thought you said that we were doing a whole segment on the female body.
Oh no! What I said is, I said we should do a 4-hour TED talk that has to do with consent. Is what I said. I said we should talk about consent laws for hours, which I'm not actually saying that we should do.
What do you know about these consent laws?
What do I know about consent laws? Well, I know that no means no.
It's not a law.
There's a lot of gray area.
Actually, it depends
I
how
don't know
no
that I
being
would
said.
publish you saying that's not a law.
It's actually depends how no being said. Because I said, okay, turn around and, are you freaking serious? I'm playing. I was like, listen, I'm being respectful man.
See that's what it is because my buddy. Should we even be talking about this? I don't know if this is a good time.
We can.
No,
And we'll try to transition towards something more wholesome.
I don't see. It's one of those. So my buddy actually made me like severely question, my own definition of consent a bit ago because he's like, if a girl's been drinking, you can't sleep with her and like all these things, and I'm like,
I do agree with that.
Well, I mean, I think there's something to be said for a woman being blackout intoxicated and not being conscious making choices, but it's like. No, like if you have a couple drinks and you're like still like you're having a fun time and that leads to other things.
That's why you drink, to lower inhibitions, to have a little bit of fun, let loose, do things that maybe are outside of your comfort zone a little bit. Right, and that's a consenting adult. She made those decisions, as did I. Right,
and again, it's a different story if it's like, okay, she just got done thrown up in the bathroom and
that's
she
very different.
Right, but I'm like, no, I feel like having a couple. Then there's also the conversation of like Gar said about how no is said. Because it's like, there have been several times where I've been with a partner for months and months, like an established relationship where, we'll get busy pretty frequently, okay? And the woman will be, I'll be like, yeah, you want to, get into it? And they'll be like, I don't know. And then it's like, you kind of like, you make it a more fun, spontaneous thing by getting into it like that. And it's like, oh, maybe I am in the mood kind of a thing. And it's like, that's not unconsensual. It's just like you segued through, what's the word? Foreplay type activity.
Right.
From a no to a maybe.
It's a very nuanced talking point, right? Because exactly, it's depends how it's said. And you as a human being can tell the difference between right and wrong, right, and good and bad, right, and you need to follow your morals and instincts, I guess. Yeah. But no, stop it, like that you looking for that type of no, like that's what you want, like no, stop it. I had this one girl who she was into like role playing, if you will, like she would like pretend as hard as she could and just be like real defiant, but she wanted to be like thrown up against the wall. And
what is that? CNC, consensual non-consent or something like that?
I don't know. I never heard of it.
No, there's a term for that.
It was like her kink. It was like her kink. Yeah, I've never seen it.
There are women who will like vehemently resist and they enjoy being like overtaken by power.
And it was hot.
I guess you have to like carry a contract for that just to be safe. In
hindsight, I should have. But, but the decisions I was making were poor. Even so I was not prepared for that.
In any of those situations, there's always before you'll establish like a safe word where it's like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to say no and act like this is not what you want. But if say pineapple, say the word pineapple, if you're not digging this, like on the actual level.
Yeah. Right. Yep. 100%.
Like previously established.
Yep. Oh, yeah. You
No.
can't be too careful though these days. You got to watch your back and be smart. And I like Gar's thought of, I like the thought of, being such a gentleman that if there's one drink in that human, like I'm not going to pursue that. I like the thought of it in theory.
Here is the thing. Like when I worked as a security, right? Pretty much, I would say it this way. I never cared about women in my life. All right. In a way of like, oh my God, I'm going to rock those numbers and this and that. And that's one of the main things in my life that's going on. I had always so many hobbies that I just never put woman on a pedestal. Of course, if she was not my woman, like in a relationship, because if we are in a relationship, that means it takes it somewhere, aka wife, aka children, family, this, that, right? But as a chasing someone to just have sex and stuff like that, it was never important for me. So that can be seen, that can be visible. Women feel that, you know what I'm saying? So I was being approached a lot when I was in the security.
And you hated it.
Not exactly.
I was about to say.
but like, there was plenty of times when girls took me to their table and stuff. Oh, you standing there, serious? I bet you are hungry. Like, come on. So, and we talk, right? And one of the girls shows the sympathy. This, that, we talk, but over time she gets drunk. Then her girlfriends are like showing thumbs up, and they leaving, and they leave us together.
Dumb women.
Guess what? I would take her home. I will leave my number. If you feel the same way next day, give me a call. Boom. Bounce. You know what I'm saying? I never freaking slept with the drunk girl. Never. It just might rule, and I just keep it to it. And guess what? Many girls called me, and they actually were grateful that I didn't use the moment.
See,
So
there's also something to be said too we also have weight. You know what I mean? Like, it's something where I feel like because women are like, physically less able to like defend themselves and like things
absolutely,
like it's the first thing for like people to be like, women are victims and this and that. It's like, well, no, the man has to give consent too. Like, there are times where I've gotten with somebody and I've like felt regret and like not good about it after the fact. I'm like, why did I do that? So it's like, on the same token, like, you have to think about the choices leading up to that circumstance as well, for context of consent. Also, I feel like, for example, like I was living with my buddy for a year. There were times where like I would have a girl over and it's like, okay, well, to be fair, I met you at this setting, which is not like the most wholesome setting to meet someone. And then we talked a couple of days, and then you proceeded to come over to my place and hang out in my room for a while and have several drinks with me in the same bed. And it's like, okay, then we've gotten to a point where it's like, okay, well, like, we both did make several choices to put ourselves in this position. So it's like, I can't feel like I've done something wrong at that point. I feel like there's been a miscommunication and several misaligned actions that led to that point, and it's on both of us. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, that's not a thing where you can be angry.
Well, so I got 2 points. One, back to your story, those friends, they probably, got good vibes from you and could tell you were a respectful gentleman and all this, that, and the third. But for them to leave their friend, still, I don't think those were good
risky.
friends.
It's
I think
not
it was a poor
okay.
decision. I've seen both ends. I've been out to places where the women are very on top of their friends, and I'm like, yeah, good, you're good friends. Like, that's great, And then I've been in situations where like they just disappear, or they just let their girl do whatever she wants, and she's sloppy all over the place. And then I take concern a little bit. I'm like, I got to be above board here. I want to like make sure we stay in sight of her friends. Like, I'm like going out of my way to not put myself in these situations. Reason being is because I've been put in a situation. I used to have my own apartment, and I would throw these crazy house parties all the time. And a lot of my
bet your neighbors loved you.
Well, actually, they did. The one sold weed, and the other that was Daryl. And
then they loved you.
and we were-
question the integrity of his neighbors first.
Yeah,
and
they probably
foremost.
joined that party too.
he did. And luckily enough, we were on the bottom floor, so if anything, we just had to worry about people stomping on our ceiling, But there was this girl who I went to school with growing up, and there'd always been a little. We'd never really like talked or anything. She dated my friends. And we're at this party and we're hooking up, and then a couple parties later we're hooking up again, and so party's kind of winding down. We're hanging out in the bedroom. My buddy Josh, thank God he was there. He's like on the bed. We start hooking up under the covers. He feels the bed moving. He climbs onto the floor, keeps watching the movie, and I see him as we're doing our thing. He's commando crawling out on his belly out the door of the bedroom.
I'm gonna go that way.
Okay, night evolves. Good.
Right.
Problem was that this girl was really good friends with my ex-girlfriend who was fresh, and me and this girl were working on things, and I told her straight up when I decided that, this looks like it's heading in the direction I wanted to, I need to put this out there right away because I don't want this like come up or her to hear from anybody else. I'm like, hey, I hooked up with so-and-so. My ex approached so-and-so, was mad about it, and then so-and-so reneged on everything. Was like, it wasn't consensual. It wasn't my fault. It was. It was causing tension and strife between the whole friend group. And I had to like call her out and make her give me like a public apology because you don't want to be accused of something like that. Like that makes you feel low and angry.
100%. There were times because like I've always been very much like a gentleman. Like, even though like I like sex just as much as the next guy. I'm not going to pretend that I don't. But I've always been very much about like letting women not make the first move, but like kind of be like the leading. What's the way to verbalize this? I'm trying to think here. So like taking the lead on it, but also like letting them
Trying to
make all
lead
the
her
choices.
into making the decisions. Right.
Exactly. Because there have been times where like the next day, or not, say like we hook up a few times, then a week later, I kind of like slowly drop off, and like I feel like you used me, and I'm like I was very forward about like me like being at where I was at, and you were at where you were at, and we both made these choices. Like I allowed you to have several chances where you could have like totally turned away. It's like and you didn't. So like don't make me feel like I used you, because my intention was never to hurt or use anybody. My thought was that there was a different situation going on, and we were both into that. You know what I mean?
But I learned later in my dating life, I learned to stop burning bridges. You don't have to lie to get what you need. In fact, my most mature dating experience ever was right before I met my now wife, and I had cheated on my ex, and I was in a really low spot, but I still wanted to get out there and date. And so on these first dates, every single time, I would tell them the story how I cheated. I'm a shit person. Tell them all my dating history, lay it all out there, and just be totally upfront and honest. I'm not really looking for anything right now. I'm just, trying to have some fun, meet some good people, see what happens. And women appreciate and respect that. And as long as you put it all out on the table and can be as honest as possible, I'm not saying women still won't get in their feels and stuff. And, if it lasts a little while and then you're like distancing yourself or whatever, it doesn't seem as like, I'm not saying they can't still get upset sometimes, but like at least your conscience is clear.
And see, that's what I mean. Like never once have I ever like, used words to like coerce someone and then like totally change my game and like, oh, I love you. I think I'm falling in love with you. Like getting to a point
That's
where
the fat fuck boy.
Right.
Like,
never once have I done something like that.
I've been guilty
and I've been so intentional in not doing that. And like I said, then I would feel awful because like days later it would like get that gross feeling of like, oh, you used me in this. And I'd be like, am I like a terrible person? I'm
you're
like, no,
oh, this is a human. This is somebody's daughter.
do something that, it took time to realize. I'm like, no, I didn't do anything wrong here. Like I was very clear about X, Y, and Z. And like we both were equal willing participants and nobody was taken advantage of here.
Right.
And this was a scenario where, okay, you may not be thrilled with the choices that you made, as I've been a victim of on several occasions too, where I've been like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But it is that. It's maybe I shouldn't have done that. It's not it's your fault that you were a party of something
You're being
that I wish I didn't do.
introspective. And women may find it harder to do that, I think. They sort of... I don't know if it's just like a gender role, but a lot of times I find, but then I've been on the other receiving end. There's been girls who I was catching feelings for, and then they just like ghost me, and I'm like, damn, was the dick that bad?
Right, but then you're just left feeling like, oh, you're a sad, lonely boy, and at no point are they the aggressor who took advantage of you. It's always,
so there's a standard.
It's always
double
like,
standard.
oh, I'm just kind of bummed out now that I got ghosted, and there's no ill intent. It's just you're bummed out.
Right. I'm not going to go key her car or something.
Exactly. And then the other way around, it's like they can make your life hell, and that's totally fine because
plus,
you're a guy.
Don't forget too, there is a lot of girls, most of the girls, I guess they like to chase. They like to change that bad boy.
So do we.
And
but they always think they can. They always think.
Oh, actually, I have a solution to that. But anyways, I've been doing that and I became super great. But they want to change a bad boy. But when bad boy falls in love, they don't have anything to change anymore. It's like, that's it. The guy belongs to me pretty much. And where are I going to get all that fun from? So that's why they ghost you.
That's a big fault of mine, dating in general, all across, like historically, and being too available, being too giving, being.
That is the thing. There is
not making
nothing
them chase
bad. There is actually nothing
It's in my
bad
nature.
with a proper female. Mentally healthy girl that
To an
was
extent.
raised the mentally healthy girl that's been raised in a good family, she will appreciate that.
Yes.
Of course,
I
she
understand
wants,
your point.
Yeah, of course, she wants a leader that has a goals and that moving somewhere. And you cannot really, if you have a leader and goals in your life, to 100% invest in your female, right? It's impossible. I'm just saying. But if you have that free time and stuff, and you invest into your girl, like why the hell not? She actually should be doing the same.
You're right. You're absolutely correct. I won't argue that.
And what I was saying about the we changing, don't get me wrong. At one moment, I was falling for problematic females myself. You know what I'm saying? But then after my last relationship, I figured out, damn, there is something wrong because there is no way I can be repeating the same freaking problem.
So you realize there was the genre of women that you were chasing.
So I said it's my fault that a lot of females cannot do these days. Like I said, oh my God, why am I getting with these idiot dudes? Maybe it's my fault. because that's my choice.
Well, that's a big problem that I see. It takes a lot to admit that as a man and to change.
Accountability.
And I was able to do that with my wife. Very outside
she's
of
a
like
fantastic
type,
girl. Yeah,
you know.
Very
But it can be
and stuff.
right. You know, like very outside my wheelhouse of what I've dated in the past, and. But I think that women have like a harder time doing that, possibly. You know, like
because
they chase that toxicity, whatever they're used to.
Yeah,
you know,
as I said, a lot of times that's why I'm saying like you need to believe in something bigger than just yourself, because a lot of people are stubborn. And I became over time more religious and spiritual. I've been like meditating. That made me more peaceful. I actually go into the church, pray a lot, and I became more religious. I actually start being celibate for a long time. Like first time I pulled off like 8-9 months. All right, no sexual content, nothing, 0. Even if I see a freaking females in the gym, and you know they like to freaking train a lot of them with those shorter freaking leggings than my freaking boxers. All right, and the sports bra. Yeah, I have to look at the freaking ceiling because I'm a young dude with full of testosterone. So guess what? I need to figure out to don't look at there.
Right.
And hold my like a position strong. And then over time, here's the thing. When you take the one thing that women can control men with, and that's sex, right? What else that girls can offer that are not right for you, right? Like you had the issue with the girls that were pulling back after you actually catch the feeling and offer yourself them as like a man and, you know, taking care of them and actually being a leader in a family. The girls like that, I started filtering them so easy. And here's the thing. When you just talk with them and they're trying to take it that way, but you're like, no, I'm sorry. And I was straightforward too. I'm just being this because I'm a religious. I don't want to just slip around, all right?
It puts the ball back in your court. It's a powerful thing to have.
Yeah. So you start reading them like as a cake. That's what I've been saying. I like boring girls now. I freaking love boring girls. And I'm not saying she has to be like a dumb as a brick. No. She can be smart, this, that, but not keeping me on the toes all the time.
Right. No, there comes a point where you just want comfort. And it's not about like, you know, like the craziest, you know, baddest chick who's around. And then
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, well, yeah, now you got to deal with her past baggage. Now you got to deal with the other 20 guys she's got in her contact list and all this stuff.
Who wants that?
Nobody.
Absolutely.
Nobody. And then I'll tell you, there's two things. So one, trailing off of the, you know, that like just establishing, getting to a point where, like I said, you're finding somebody for comfort where you know what you actually want in a person.
Comfort. By that, I think you mean like stability, right?
Right.
Like
there's a time
reliability.
And a place.
Yeah,
for the chasing, like I get that there's a environment for it, but then it's like, you know, after a while, like I'll tell you, like he was saying with the abstinence, like sometimes you just pressing that reset button is a life-changing thing, because when you're so used to being with different people all the time, like it kind of something up here, it's not good for your brain. It's just not. And there comes a point where it's like you just kind of are like, why am I living this way? Like, what is this thing that I'm doing all the time? Like, you kind of have like this moment of self-recognition and like this epiphany and like, why am I doing this? And then when you take a break, like I'll tell you, like coming back from that, you view everything differently. You view women differently. You view the approach to women differently. You kind of like everything up here resets and you're like, oh, this is like a new thing all over again versus the same old thing, which you might get stuck in the patterns of.
Which is arguably scary.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, for many years, in hindsight, I can recognize is that, you know, dating or sleeping around was easier for me because you're not putting yourself in a position to be hurt or to be vulnerable. And that was a hard thing for me. And I wasn't, you know, emotionally mature or ready. Yeah. And so it was easier for me to just, you know, keep it casual, keep them at arm's distance, you know. But yeah, to your point, there can be underlying reasons that you don't even know. It's like an insatiable thing that you just keep having to go. Just like Tinder and stuff like that. You just swiping, matching. Maybe you pursue some, but like it's just like this insatiable hunger. And where does it go? Where is it going to take you?
And what good does it bring to your life?
Exactly.
Is the better thing.
Just drains your time and wallet.
Because you think about this, like it's all the money that people are spending on these subscriptions, all the time they spend browsing these online things, going to these singles events, and it's like at the end of the day, like what is the goal here? Are we just trying to have sex because sex is fun? Like, is that what the goal is? Because it's like, what is that? Like, you could be spending that time doing so much more to fulfill yourself, to fulfill, I mean, religion's awesome. I mean, I'm a born again Christian. I'll say that, I'll share that. But it's like, that's an incredible, incredible thing. And there's so much more, like, you know, like I'll tell you when I, you know, started like making some serious life changes, the amount of time that I rededicated or reallocated rather to writing music and to, you know, really crushing, figuring out like routine wise in the gym and supplements and all these things that were like, you know, kind of just okay. And it's like all this extra time and attention can be used to optimize so much and put you in such a better position so that when that woman does pass, you know, cross your path, you're ready for her when that time happens, as opposed to just being a mess. You know what I mean?
Right? Because you actually bring value to the table, which you know, there's a certain power to be said when you know you're putting in work and you have that value and you feel worthy, right? And so you demand more. It's okay for you to easier for you to set non-negotiables and like tell them what you want and what you're not looking for, you know?
It's funny too, because I think about in life, like all the times where I was young and immature and I viewed people that were doing these things as being old and boring. Like I noticed like another example, like my parents, all the things they told me growing up and me sitting there like that's, you know, you're trying to kill my fun. You're this and that. Same thing can be said for, you know, the girl who gets out of a long relationship and doesn't want to talk to you because she's finding herself right now. And it's like, you're being boring. You're this, you're that. And it's like, no, once you've actually really found yourself and rediscovered yourself, you're like, oh, this is incredible. Like, I understand what all these hard to get chicks were talking about now, because there was a whole nother me that was on the other side of this that I needed to, you know, rediscover. And now it's like, you know, you're this whole new creation.
But you know, what's the thing though with the females trying to find themselves? They find it a little bit differently. In a way of like a clubbing and going out and stuff like that, having fun with the friends and further. The guys, actually, a lot of dudes, like who really, like I'm a type of dude, if I get out to, let's say girl break up with me, I always say it's my fault. Something wrong with me. And from there, I improve, I will sit down, I will learn more, I will do this. And they didn't come up on a higher. You know, like there's a few types of dude, right? One dude will start drinking and freaking hating all the women. Someone it will be like improving himself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm that guy because I was always saying to myself, it's your fault. You're not good enough.
There are too many times in life where people say it's somebody's fault. I feel like in a relationship, and don't get me wrong, there are times where it's just deliberately somebody's fault. Somebody cheats on somebody's an alcoholic, somebody, you know, whatever you want to put the blame on, you know, fine. But a lot of times, like, you know, in life, and this is why I so greatly admire people who have like, you know, wholesome long-term marriages. It's like, you know, people do outgrow each other with time. People do go in different directions and become a different person than the person you fell in love with. Like, just because that person's not right for you doesn't mean anybody's inherently done something wrong. It does mean that, hey, listen, like this isn't going to work moving forward. But again, you know, it not working with the other person is not the compass or the reference point of right or wrong. That's person's life. You know, that shouldn't be your gauge as to if you did something right. I'm not for this person. That doesn't mean, you know.
No, it's well said too. That's a very good point.
That is the thing though. It's like, I agree with you on that one. And there's not many families like that. My parents being all their life together, you know what I'm saying? And that's what was my goal too. Like a lot of people don't believe me. Hey, it is what it is. And I just being open about it like past few years. I was a freaking virgin till 27, man. People have a freaking 20, 30, and those girls too. Like
I was also a virgin until 27.
Of what? Like freaking you started playing like one of the video games at that time?
Yeah, until I was 27. I never was with a woman.
Yeah, I figured. While being 21. How much? 22?
21, yeah.
Yeah, shut your ass up, boy. Shut your ass up, boy. So here's the thing. It's like that was my first love, and I actually was planning to marry the girl. But again, you know how people are when you are not nearby and stuff like that. She found someone else, and I was in the army at that time. I was in the service.
Well, that's tough, you know. You're young. Well, not that young, but still, you know.
The passive jab.
Not that young.
Hey, you got a little stab.
Like you're actually no.
So you know, I was raised.
It's good. We good.
I was raised in a very like sex negative environment, right? Whether it be my family and my church and my school, all intertwined. Yeah. You know, 6 inches, no sex before marriage, blah blah blah. You know, no crush on girls, and you're not allowed to be around. You're not allowed to be alone with them in the same room and stuff like that. And so, you know, I got kicked out of my high school right before my senior year. And then I lost my virginity at 16 to a 24-year-old who was the cousin of somebody who I'd been pursuing.
Damn, girl was high speed.
Needless to say, morally it wasn't right. But in hindsight, too, this girl that I had been pursuing did turn out being lesbian. So I'm sort of glad I did that, I guess, because she was wasting my time, and I think I was just like kind of like a cover for her, actually. But anyway, so but then I didn't have sex again for 2 years. And I still had like intimacy issues, like being vulnerable, being like comfortable in these scenarios. And so that's why for me, it was like all very sexualized. It was very like, okay, I need to perfect. I put it on a pedestal. It was like something I needed to pursue. I needed it as part of my identity to feel masculine or like I had something to brag about. And it became, it's a very negative thing, like just pursuing the sex as kind of a status symbol, kind of like I said, part of my identity. Right. And then learning over time.
I struggle with that too. Or
yeah.
Not struggle, currently struggled, past tense, just to make that extra D at the end of that clear.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's exactly what it was, because in high school, I was like, so very much bullied for being the fat, weird, all that kid. And then, then I slowly, over the course of like 2 years, like transformed between like 14 and 16, went from being like the really overweight, really weird looking kid to like being the guy I was, I was not ever like a stud. I'm not saying, I was all that. No, but I lost the weight. I found myself. I, got this whole like, fashion, all this stuff together, like figuring out who I was. And then from that point, it's like, oh no, that's the guy who works out, who always is with a different girl, who this and that. And it becomes part of your like, oh, I have to get more girls, because that's like part of like, it gets contorted. Because sex appeal in women becomes part of your picture of what success looks like, and then you convince yourself that in order to be successful, you're getting a bunch of girls, and it's like that can screw your life up.
Well,
so
that's
much.
actually being promoted online too a lot now.
100%. I mean, you think about like the toxic masculinity. Is that the term they use?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you think about like guys like Andrew Tate and stuff, where it's like, oh, I got and I like Andrew Tate, and he's
don't get me wrong. He says the right things though.
Right.
But there is some harsh shit too.
Well, but he built his castle and then they came. You can't do it the other way around. You can't try to base success on because you're going to be blowing your time, your money, not investing in the important things.
Or you can be me.
Or you could be you. But I'm
Savan, yeah. You could all just be Gar.
I wish I was Gar.
I do wish I was Gar. I would do anything to be Gar.
Do some blood transfusion or something like that.
That
you
sounds
can get
dangerous.
some of the superior genes.
Dangerous.
Anyways, so one of that stuff, talking about like bringing girls and stuff, I do have a lot of female friends, all right? And one of the reasons of that is I just don't care. Like, we are friends, that's it. Like, that's my position. Like, if I don't see you as a potential wife, we are friends. I don't spend any more time. Like, I'm just joking around, I roasting everyone, and for some reason, girls are like, why are you being so masochistic, man?
So I'm going to put this question to both of you, and I kind of know what your answer is, and I believe it truly because you're different. You're a different breed for sure. Do we think that guys can be just platonic friends with multiple, females? And is there any risk involved in that? Is there any danger, right? And before you answer, I will say, any that I've had. And you can't, I don't know if any that I've had ever since I have had a wife, I've distanced, right? Like I'm not going to go hang out one-on-one with any female because I'm a married man. Whether it just be operating above reproach, what it looks like in the public eye, not making my wife uncomfortable, what are your thoughts?
You go first, please.
I go first. So okay. I think that my answer might be different than it is for some people because I do believe that people can be friends with the opposite gender and truly and genuinely just friends. I also think that when it comes to somebody who's in a relationship with somebody, I think the place for that, at least for me, very quickly diminishes. Because, when it comes to me, like I know, and I'm somebody like I'm a very passionate, intimate person, just period. And that's not just being said in, like a sexual context. Like if I'm hanging out with somebody, I don't hang out with people that I'm just kind of cool with.
Right.
Like even guys, and I'm a completely straight male. Like even guys, like I don't hang out with somebody. I'm like, oh, I mean, he seems like a nice dude. He's kind of weird, kind of doesn't. I don't really get along with him. Like I'm not friends with that guy. Like, I'm friends with the guy. I'm like, dude, I'm going and doing X, Y, and Z with this person. We're going to the gym together.
Mission.
We're going.
We got a mission.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
and it goes the same way with females. Like, I'm not hanging out with a female who's like kind of weird looking, who's like kind of my vibe, kind of cool. You know, I don't really. It's like, no, like if I'm hanging out with a woman, like I know that there's some appeal to something further, and that's fine if you're single and you're not really. But you know, I know that if I'm with somebody, there's no place for me to incorporate just for respect for my partner, for like the inherent risk of putting yourself in a precarious position that you may or may not have the self-control to be in or out of it. And also too, like, you know, I do a lot of my life reasoning and thoughts based off of a very, like a system of ones and zeros kind of a thing. So when I think about spending, I'll explain how that kind of correlates. So if I'm spending time with somebody, it's like, you know, is this going to bring any positive or good things out of this? You know what I mean? Like, it's like if I have a partner, I'm hanging out with a female on the side. It's like just to hang out with her. It's like, okay, like what is the purpose of this? Is this bringing you value? Is this bringing your partner any value? Is this, you know, like it's a very like yes, no thing. And it's like, just from a process of elimination standpoint, there's no position where this is going to better most things in my life.
But there are guaranteed hypothetical cons
Exactly
that can result from it, right?
There's only negative possibilities, and I mean, like I said, if you want to say, oh well, this is a guy with optimal self-control who's not like you, is whatever. It's like, okay, well, even then, even in an ideal circumstance, okay, you might have a friend who's kind of cool, and it's like versus the other side of it, where it's like kind of cool friend. 50 things that could completely flip your world upside down.
Right, and it had nothing to do with even you, but just like I said, I do it out of respect for my wife. You know, I don't want to make her think or have to worry, or even though she, you know, she's a very confident woman, she's not a jealous type. But just like the public eye, you know, what are people going to think? What are people going to think about our relationship?
Yep,
that's the right sense. Not gonna lie, and my position, it will be hard freaking no. Let's say like that. All right, me being all like a disciplined at everything, right? I can hold my horses. And don't get me wrong, I'm not an angel. Sometimes it's happened here and there, but not with my female friends though. But
just as male friends.
Yeah, bros are the best. But anyways, like I went on a vacation, boom, boom, something happened. But here's the thing. My sense was like, okay, I will go there. I'm just gonna relax, just gonna have my thing. It just, as I said, when you don't care, trust me. People know that, and then you become a competition. But now let's go to the friends part. I see the sympathy, okay? It just, for me, as I said, you are not the option, because I do pay attention to the, let's say like that past, how you live that past, and I think it catch up to you. So, and it goes to everyone. So, and I do pay attention to things like that. I do ask certain questions. Female doesn't even know what she's answering to, but she's pretty much giving me the answers I'm looking for. Are you yes or no when it goes to like making a wife out of you? You know what I'm saying?
There's a rigorous vetting
exactly because
system that
girls teach me that over time.
My wife taught me this.
That. Yeah.
Gar has one of those Scantron tests that he, you know, like those long, like bubble things you fill in that he gives to every female once he meets them. He's like, if we're gonna hang out on Friday, have this done beforehand.
If no, then answer A, B, or C.
I mean, that's actually like a saving time. Better, not gonna lie, but it's just like a conversation, you know, and it's actually semi-fun conversation. But
right. You work it in there just like a fitness assessment. You know, getting all the
because
information you need, making it organic. And
not gonna lie, it's like one of the things is when I go on a date, I don't go on a date to impress them. I want to have fun. You know, that's why a lot of guys are losing on this part, because they try to impress them. That's the wrong thing.
Fancy restaurant flowers.
Oh, absolutely. Freaking, we are going to the park, bougie. Sunshine. If I like you, how you talk and everything, then I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm hungry. Do you want a sushi? Yeah, great. We're going.
Genius.
But yeah, we are going to the park. I don't care. Okay. And if I have a girlfriend or a wife, even girlfriend, let's say girlfriend, right? And as I said, I'm really approve the religious side of it, like don't sleeping before marriage and stuff like that. I absolutely do not have a problem, and I will wait. All right. When it's like for a proper girl, absolutely don't have a problem with that. So, and even at that time, I'm just gonna cut everyone off, and everyone will know why. it's like
as
everyone
far as
knows.
your female friends,
Yeah,
right?
I told
Okay.
everyone, listen.
So we're all
this
of the
is
same
how I
mind,
am.
it seems.
Exactly, this is how I am because I want people to respect my wife. I don't want someone said, "Oh, the poor girl, she doesn't know God is hanging out with this girl and that girl." Absolutely not. I demand respect towards my wife. That's how I am.
Well, so I'm going to give a quick example. Really,
Yeah.
past relationship of mine. You know, I had one in particular, platonic female friend.
Mm-hmm.
We had never done anything together, and when I started dating a girl, this girl was kind of brought up. Okay, so she would like text me to hang out. We used to work together, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, let's hang out. And my girlfriend at the time wasn't a fan of that, so it's like, okay, you know, I understand that. No one-on-one. Maybe we could hang out with her together at the bar or something, so you can meet her, feel a little more confident. But it became like a topic of contention, you know. And I felt like I needed to hold on to this girl because I wanted to feel like I had some kind of power in the relationship. I didn't want to be like a beta dude who my girlfriend dictates who I am and not friends with. So that's kind of where I was coming from. But in hindsight, there was, you know, a certain amount of sexual tension between me and this female. She was attractive. I had always sort of had, and I knew it deep down, but I denied it because we had never hooked up. But it, you know, in hindsight, it was like we had so many fights over this, and then there was a guy in her life who I, you know, as a guy, you know, and there was this guy in her class who would ask to like come over and study, and said something like, oh, you know, it's okay, I'll pretend I'm gay so he won't feel weird, and then something about her trying on a bikini, and he's like, oh, well, I'll be the judge if it looks good or not. And like, and I knew from the beginning. And I met this guy at graduation. I got to shake his hand and stare him down. Best thing in the world. But like, it was wrong. It was wrong. And so I was able to learn from that relationship. And I have a very strong wife now who's set non-negotiables. And so like, there was never a question of how that was going to go.
I'd like to like trail off what you just said because it's something that I've thought about so much over the years. About, so like you just said about, you know, feeling like the stronger male in the relationship kind of a thing. So I get what you're saying. And that's one of those things where it's like, you know, if you have a good, healthy partnership, you can communicate and give and take in certain areas. Now, as far as hanging out with other people, you know, I already said I don't think guys should ever hang. But, you know, like I'll tell you, like one of the things was like in one of my past relationships, my ex was horrendous when it came to that. Like it was one of those things like she wanted to tell me I couldn't get tattoos. She wanted to tell me that I couldn't go, you know, get the piercings I wanted to get. She wanted to say, you know, oh, you can't pursue this career. Like she was like always trying to control every element of my life, and it made my life like hell, to the point where we would have conversations and like little things that were like not all that important. Like there would be like little things like you know, what I was gonna do on Thursday or Friday night, like not with other girls or anything, like just things that she didn't want me to do, where I would like then assert myself because I felt like I needed to be like it was the concept of like, you can't tell me everything,
And you had to reclaim some
like
of that.
there had to be a point where I'm like, okay, is it that deep, me hanging out with Nick on Friday and having some drinks? Like, no, it's not that deep. And any other day or with any other person, I wouldn't mind saying that I'm not going to do that. But because you've already controlled every other element of my life, like, no, like I will die on this hill because conceptually I need to hold on to something because you've sucked every other thing away. Oof. So like you need that give and take and that healthy, like, you know, and I think that's kind of what you're talking about, right? That conceptual, like you're not trying to be like, no, I'm the man, I'm going to do this and that. But at the same time, like you can communicate and there's a healthy amount of mutual exchange to take place that is totally fine and normal. And then there's when somebody's taking too much and you can't be part of that.
Well said. Yeah, you all need to try marriage. It's pretty cool.
You need to try
it's
marriage.
cool. Yeah, you got to try it out.
Cool.
I like to think we're not always perfect. We have plenty of fights and all that, but just a level of like communication. Always, again, we're not always perfect, and there's times when I have to walk away from a conversation or the problem doesn't get solved or whatever. But like historically, though, we always like overcome it. We always meet halfway. We always admit when we were wrong, when we cool down. Like it's a different level of relationship. You know, it's like, oh, I can't get in my car and drive home angrily and we talk about it over the phone or tomorrow. No, I'm there with you. Like I want to come back into bed with you. You know, it's beautiful. Fucking awesome.
Not gonna lie, probably I'm the harshest one between this group, because when I before I will get into a relationship, like I'm like, okay, there's the rules I have, you know.
Gar's gonna die alone.
Huh? Absolutely don't mind, man. All those motorcycles and guns, shit. It's gonna be a fine way to die. Probably I'm not gonna make it to 40 anyways.
You said to 40?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, with my,
Aren't you already like 45? I didn't say that. I didn't go there. I didn't do it.
okay, 50.
You got a little white in the beard there?
Yeah, I do.
That looks good.
I do,
good,
right? Silver fox.
Gar's gonna be rocking the salt and pepper pretty soon.
No, but you gotta set rules and non-negotiables, and that's something my wife was very
Absolutely.
strong about.
Yeah.
And I was able to set some of this relationship early on, but also, learning more than I maybe should have set. And so, it's a good learning curve. But I think everybody should be, and my wife should teach a master class on it, because we dated for 3 months. Not dated, we worked out together for 3 months as platonic.
Yep.
Networking
Friend-ish.
business people, yeah. Before we ever went on a date, before we ever slept together, and I knew everything, what I could and could not get away with before I ever we ever shared any type of intimacy.
That's actually great, because these days, not gonna lie, if I like someone and I start talking to them, I would make them wait. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say like that, you guys have a conflict, right? Most of the times after conflict, how it's being resolved, make up sex. All right. And what did that make
What did that
after
fix?
that? Yeah,
Nothing.
actually nothing.
But it causes a cycle.
So when you don't, you actually will sit down and try to work that shit out.
Try and work. Yeah. I agree.
Like a
I agree with
grown-ups,
that.
you know what I'm saying?
right.
And that will show if you guys actually made for each other or not, if you guys stick around or not.
If you can figure it
And
out.
yeah.
I'll tell you with communication too, another thing that I learned, and I forget even where I heard this, but I remember hearing it. And again, I had this ex where like every time we had a disagreement about something, I was always somebody who was like, I'm a very simple guy where I'm like, as long as we don't go to bed angry and everybody's smiling at the end of the day, I really don't care what happens in between. And when a disagreement becomes an argument, like that's when your communication has gone so far that there's a problem. And it's like, we can agree to disagree and it can be fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like there can be a point of like, just because we don't agree on something doesn't mean we have to have a 2-week head-butting contest over it and be pissed off 24. Like, we can just totally be like, listen, we don't see eye to eye here. That's fine. I think that this argument is pretty anthill like in the grand scheme of things, and we can move past this and continue. And then there are people who are like, no, I disagree, and I'm going to tell you why you're wrong until you agree that you're wrong about this. And it's like, okay, well, there's not a whole lot of, you know what I mean?
No, yeah. I mean, I didn't have experienced that literally in the last week with my wife, agreeing to disagree. We're just like, can we agree that we both think that we're right and just move on?
Right.
And something else I've had to learn is walking away, walking away, cooling down, having time to think about it, and trying to communicate with her why it's important for me to do so. And there was a third thing I wanted to say, but I can be very stubborn sometimes, So occasionally there's a hill that I choose to die on that, like, I shouldn't have. But like, if I know something
like that
to
too,
my
not gonna
core,
lie.
if I know something to my core, and you're trying to tell me that I'm wrong about it, like
Even if it's a small little thing,
jacket,
like a small little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not gonna lie.
I'm
I
not
have
that way.
I have a saying.
I can be.
If you don't stand for nothing, if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing. This is
Right.
my saying, and I'm like that too. Like freaking stomp my feet.
Sometimes.
Well, pick your battles.
Yeah, correct.
Like
Exactly.
that's what I was saying about earlier with like the whole like being the higher figure and stuff, because like I said, when it came to one of my last relationships, like it was that entirely where it was like, this argument is not something that I'm going to sit here and like I'll give you what you want, like I'll happily give you what you want and say that, I don't even say that I'm wrong, but like give you the upper hand and give into, but it's like, but I can't do that and give into 100 other things. Like, it's like you become that way when somebody makes me that way, I would say more specifically.
Right.
But it's like, I'm so much the guy to be like, I don't even care. Like, this is like the littlest thing. Let's just get everybody
The thing is,
past it.
though, is, and you can probably agree with this, is in hindsight, looking back at that relationship,
Yeah.
you probably somewhere along the line, whether it was completely the whole time or at a certain point, didn't value yourself enough, didn't like have your own back, if that makes sense. You conceded just too much.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then eventually it's like this toxic thing that you can't get out of, you can't possibly fix, you know?
It's funny because when I left this woman, I remember there was months. It was like, and this was people, I just want to clarify, people in my life who barely ever saw me. Like, I'm talking about people that I'd like walked by a couple times a month, like my neighbors and stuff, who I'm like, I'm not super tight with, but we'll have barbecues and stuff sometimes. And she's this really not super old, but an older Polish woman. And I remember we were sitting in her backyard having a bonfire, and this was toward the tail end of this relationship. And she was like, "You're just not yourself anymore." Like you're just not like she said it to me, and it's like, yeah, I haven't smiled in like 4 months. Like I'm living in hell.
She doesn't even really know
like,
you. That's
that's what I'm
crazy.
saying. Like
wow.
she didn't, and like people saying like you're just not even like what happened?
She saw a
to you?
soul in distress.
What happened to old Sam? That's what she said to me, and I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You used to smile so much more now." And it's so crazy because I look in my camera roll at pictures of me from like before and after that relationship, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh! Like you look like a different. Like you look like something terrible like
That's
happened
tough.
to you."
Sounds like you were chasing in that relationship, though. You know, like. Am I wrong?
Oh, it was literally like, and I was trying to keep everything there together, and all the pressure fell on me, and like the other person didn't contribute at all in any way, and it was like, but she always makes my like life harder. Like it's one of those things now, and it's taught me what to look for in a woman. Like I'll tell you, the support. That was one of those things. Like anytime, because I'll tell you, in this relationship specifically, there were a lot of times where like, in my life where there were a lot of pivotal choices being made, like career choices,
right,
and like big things, and like those are hard decisions to make as it is. And in a partner, it's so important to have like somebody who's going to make it easier for you, who's going to support you and be like, whatever you decide to do, like I'm going to have your back, I'm going to this, and encourage you,
help you talk you through it, be devil's advocate, like And
instead it was always like, well, no, I don't think you should do that. Well, why not? Well, because I have this reason and that, and I think you're doing the wrong thing.
It's all about them.
And if you don't do what they tell you to do, then you're in the wrong. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm making a hard decision that you've made 3 times harder, and you're making me feel terrible about it. And it's like now everything in my world is collapsing.
And now you might be making it for the wrong decision, just to spite them or to appease them, one way or the other.
It's totally like a relationship that is bad can completely flip your world upside down.
Yeah,
it can completely, like you can go from everything is great to being like this is a problem.
Know your worth, kings.
That's what it is, bro.
I think we got some solid content, a little outside of our wheelhouse. That went in a direction I didn't expect it. I really enjoyed that talk in general. It's cathartic, and I think that different genre of content than we bring oftentimes. So I'm happy with that. And I have a meeting. Let's see if she sticks to it at 2:30 with my wife. Nice. So we're gonna wrap it up today. Any last parting thoughts any of you guys want to throw out there?
Stay single and be happy single.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Be happy
get
single,
married and make a bunch of kids, man. Especially if you're a good person. So rate them right.
I guess we'll have to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I guess we'll have to do that 4-hour TED Talk on consent next week.
I think we've covered that for a while.
Okay. Right. Well, we appreciate each and every single one of you guys for listening, watching, and following along. To help us provide a better experience, you can.
Don't be shy and ask us questions. Ask us. Yeah. Questions, comment, DM us, email this gentleman on his email that I always forget.
Mitchell Black.
Exactly.
At gmail.com.
How easy it is. But for how long we been doing this?
It's maybe episode 27.
Yeah. It's okay, man.
A little while. I'm going to get a little more
here.
consistent. We do have some holidays and stuff coming up, and I do have a fishing trip coming up.
Oh, yeah. I forgot, man. I'm going to Hawaii in December, so...
We'll talk about it. We'll try to maybe in the group text just shoot a bunch of dates that we're each going to be away. Just so
we can do a Zoom, something like that.
I still have to figure that out. I'm sure I can. I'm such a piece of shit. Thanks for joining us, Sam.
Of course.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
being here.
Stay up to date on all that we're going to be up to or will be up to. That was the same thing. Follow us on Instagram at @thefence_podcast. Oh, subscribe on YouTube at The Fence Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Simply at The Fence.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you next time.